Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good morning,
Hello.
good evening, good afternoon. Where are you joining us from? Also, feel free to share in the chat. Thank you all for joining. We will maybe wait for 1, 2 minutes just for everyone else to join, and then we will start this practical session together. I'm joining, for example, from Berlin. I will put it in the chat.
Amsterdam. Joris from Amsterdam. Los Angeles.
Nice, Los Angeles. Good morning, Los Angeles.
Marcy, he's
Nice,
part of our next cohort.
nice. Great. Nice to see some familiar names and faces. Hi, everyone. So while we're waiting for everyone else to join, we suggest maybe we start with a bit of interactive little exercise. We want to know how much all of you are familiar with the tool we're going to explore today. So please answer this one simple question you will see now on your screens. Have you used GIS before? So you have three answers. Yes, I use it regularly. Yes, but just a little. And no, I'm completely new. Nice.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so we can see the results in real life. Yeah, so more than 80% of you are new or just know a little bit about the tool, which is great because the session today is beginner friendly. And we hope you will learn a lot of new first steps for you to explore GIS and QGIS, this free tool specifically. So I'll end this poll for now and we can slowly start, I think. Yeah, so now you can see all the results. So great that we're all kind of on the same page in this room. So thank you all for joining, for your time, for also registering so last minute. We decided to do this session spontaneously last week, and you all signed up, and we see so much interest, which means that it's important and it's relevant for all of you. Thank you so much. So I am Anastasia Zakharoslova, and the head of All Things Urban. For those of you who don't know us and maybe joined through some different channels, maybe from Project for Public Spaces or some other links and resources, All Things Urban is the largest career platform for people like you, for urbanists, for those who work with architecture, urban planning, transport, climate, sustainability, so all related to cities. And we help you find the coolest jobs, events, courses, and anything related to career inspiration and community related to cities. So those of you who are not familiar with us and maybe not subscribed to our channels, you can follow us on Substack and also on LinkedIn to get the updates and invites to similar events, webinars, courses, and sessions. So All Things Urban is almost, I think, 8 years old now, and we work with many partners and clients over the years, also organizations and employers helping to find and get access to talent like you, and you find jobs and opportunities. And while working across the world, we noticed that what are the kind of the skill gaps out there, what the employers and universities are looking for, and what we as all urbanists sometimes can offer, maybe our school didn't teach us. So that's why since a couple of years, we decided to maybe launch our own skill-focused courses, education, free and paid webinars, workshops, alone with partners, with experts. And we run these different formats, which you can also find on our website and newsletter. And one of these big topics, which we found particularly relevant, it's anything related to data, JS and data-driven decisions, because we all live in a more and more data-driven world, and there is no way we can avoid this topic. And the question is how us, many times not tech-heavy people, can actually start using the tools and make our decisions a bit more not only qualitative but also quantitative. And that's why since a year we started collaborating with my amazing partner in crime in this data-driven topics, Juan Pablo Coral, who's an exceptional GIS expert with more than a decade of years of experience across the world. And we started doing our, maybe you saw the GIS course, which you saw in the promotion, also some free webinars, we do sessions, a lot of content, and overall like this GIS-driven community as part of the All Things Urban network. And we started this big course last year, which is like a 6 weeks course. We will tell you more about today and also give you a special offer. But we also feel like more people in the field need to also start using it at least a little bit. Maybe some of you don't want to join the full course. Maybe you don't have time, resources. Maybe you're not sure if it's even a tool for you and for your work, for your research. That's why we decided to do the sessions, to show you kind of, give you like a first glimpse of what it could be, to tell you more about how it can be applied, to teach you how to start using and exploring it on your own. Maybe after the session, you would like to, I don't know, continue on your own, because this tool can be explored step by step, slowly on your own. Maybe you'd like to join our course and get more in depth. Maybe you'd like to, I don't know, keep exploring this topic, for being in touch with us on LinkedIn. Just the idea is just to keep it, to populate this knowledge as much as possible and to help you bring it to your practice. So the session is planned to be very practical for you. We plan to be for 1 hour together. We will start with like 5-10 minutes intro from Juan about him as an expert, and also what QGIS is, how it can be used for those of you who don't know. Then we will move to this practical workshop masterclass. We will show you how to start using QGIS for about 20-25 minutes. Then we'll tell you more about the course we're launching, and maybe some of you have questions about this. We're happy to answer, and we also have a special offer for you, so stay with us. And then we will finish with the Q&A. As I said, the plan is to stay for 1 hour together, but we have quite a lot of you today, and many of you submitted some questions in advance. So we want to give you as much as possible. So we might be 10 minutes over the timing. So those of you who want to stay and can stay longer, please do it. So then you can ask your questions live and we will answer. Just a few of logistics. This is a webinar setting of webinar, not the usual meeting. So you will not be able kind of to join the session live, but you can ask your questions in the Q&A box, which you can find at the bottom of your screen. This way we will not miss your question. You can also upvote your questions there, so we will make sure that we will answer the most popular first. And I know that many of you actually submitted questions during the registration, and we also pick the most popular out of them, and we will make sure to answer them during the Q&A. You can also use the chat for some updates or questions, but just it can get a bit lost because it's quite a lot of people. So if you want your question to be answered, please put it in the Q&A box. And all of you who joined will get a recording afterwards. We will also be showing you the case study based on the real project, like real data set. You will also receive it tomorrow together with the video, so you can actually follow the steps alone and replicate what we have done. So stay tuned for that. And without further ado, Juan, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Anastasia, and thank you everyone for joining us. So I will start with like a quick presentation about myself and principles before we can move into the QGIS section. So I will share my screen. If you can confirm that you can see the slides.
Yes, we can see that.
Okay, good. So today's webinar is, well, the name is QGIS Basics for Urbanists, and that's what we want to cover today. But first of all, let me give you like a quick introduction about myself. So my name is Juan Pablo Corral, and I'm an architect and urban designer and planner. But from the last 10 years, I've been working at the intersection of GIS and location analysis and data. So I discovered this when I was working after I did my master's degree at the LSE. I started working with GIS as an urban planner consultant, but after that, I moved into this GIS consultancy, and I have completed more than 50 GIS projects around the world. And I've been teaching for a long time and also contributing to research projects, especially a big one when I work with people from the Harvard GSD for a 3 years long project about temporary urbanism. And since then, what I always say is that from the last 10 years, I've been producing maps and working with spatial data and maps for the private and public sector, real estate, urban studies, and even social media. Because when I work at Feld, which is a GIS startup based in San Francisco, I was part of the marketing team, and I had to produce like a many maps in terms of creating content, which is quite relevant today. Um, From this, and also with conversations we have had with Anastasia, we have seen a lot of interest from people in the urban environment, that they want to learn how they can work with data and how they can make geospatial analysis. And since almost like a year and a half, we have launched this initiative, this All Things Urban GIS Lab, where we have developed a course where we have trained more than 200 people with graduates, including people from Global Designing Cities Initiative, from GEL, Circular Economy, Transform Transport, and Burhapol. Our students are quite happy with the results, and we know that they are now using GIS for their own work. And our cohorts and people joining us is quite international. We have got people from more than 30 countries. So all the content that we produce is quite practical, but also flexible for using different locations. So just to start with this, because when you say, okay, I want to work with GIS, I'm part of the urban environment. So it's kind of a tricky one to define what's that. But what we have put together, or we have been using this concept about urban practitioners that include people from architecture, urban designers and planners, mobility and transport specialists, climate and sustainability expert, real estate people, social scientists, people working for the private and public sector. But the common thing that they all have is that they are working with projects and contexts and locations. And for all those working with locations and they need to analyze geographical data, we think, and I'm sure that GIS is the right tool for like when you are working with this, because you need to move between scales and GIS is great for that. You need to analyze data, you need to access geospatial information, and that's where GIS is so useful, and that's the skill that we want to introduce you today. Um, about practicalities and the webinar structure, as Anastasia was saying, I will do a quick presentation about key concepts that you need to know before start working with GIS. After that, I will do a live demonstration that will go from installing QGIS to setting base maps in QGIS, how you can open layers, and I will show you how you can do basic styling in QGIS. After that, we will introduce you the course, and finally, we will have this Q&A session about the content that we have shared today, and also the questions that you sent previously. So let me start by defining what is GIS. And something that I always mention in the courses that we do in all the sessions is that what we're going to cover today is not GIS in general, but GIS for urban people, which is something quite relevant because all the content, slides, and workflows are the ones that I think are relevant based on these 10 years of experience around the world for people working in the urban environment, or what we mentioned, these urban practitioners that includes from architects to urban designers, planners, consultants, and more. So let's start by defining what GIS is. So GIS is a system that allows you to capture, store, analyze, and visualize information. But this information, what it has different or what is unique is that this information has a geographic component, which is normally represented as coordinates like X and Y coordinates. So GIS is basically the system that allows you to visualize, store, and analyze this type of information, which has this geographic component. And when we say information, it can be like a table, our Excel sheet, our CSV table, or any geospatial format. But when this table or this information has this geographical component, that is the latitude and longitude, maybe an address or other ways of geolocating your information, that is geospatial data and can be visualized and analyzed using GIS. And this information can be from land use, demographics, sales data, density, or even collisions. But the important concept here you need to understand is that it needs to have this geographic component. Some files are already, they have this geospatial extension like geopackages, shapefiles, but you can also work with tables that have this geospatial component that can be a latitude or longitude, or even an address if you want to geocode this information. So said that, like what is GIS for us? And for us, as I was saying, I mentioned all these urban practitioners, and I think there are three main concepts about GIS. First is that it brings like a lot of efficiency. So when you start working with GIS, you will see that there are some tasks or some workflows that previously took you like a lot of time, but with GIS, since you're working with a system that allows you to store and work with data, some of these are more efficient, and then you can streamline some of your workflows. Secondly, it opens opportunities in other fields and allows you to stand out from other professionals. So today, as we all know, data is more and more important. And also, like from my own experience, I started as an architect and urban designer, but when I learned GIS, I started like working for a startup based in San Francisco, which it was like quite unique and quite different from what I was doing before, and even working for like a marketing team that I always had this interest in data content, but finally GIS was the gateway to do other stuff. And it's also a gateway to other fields, maybe IoT, programming, SQL, Python, and more. So once you learn GIS, it's like a starting point for you to work with data and start in this world of data science and other fields. So it's quite interesting that it can be a starting point for other stuff. And obviously, the skill is quite relevant for today's challenges. So before moving to the session, I would like to introduce you the type of data that you work when you work with GIS, and especially QGIS. So today we want to work with vector layers, and vector layers are the information that you can visualize in QGIS, and vector layers are geometries that they can be points, they can be polygons or lines. But the key thing is that these polygons or these features, they have information attached in a table. So what you see in a table is that you have information stored in a table, but this information is linked to a specific feature that can be a point in this case. For example, this point that might have an ID, and a status, and a height in meters. These geometries can be different, let's say lines or polygons, but the key concept that you need to understand is that you will always work with an attributes table and features when you're working with vector layers. If you're working with rasters, it's like another type of data, kind of similar, but today we will focus on vector layers. So GIS is quite, you can do like a many stuff with GIS, but some of the typical application is like doing zoning checks, where you can quickly assess zoning compliance or uses in a specific area. You can do spatial advanced analysis for understanding spatial relationships, correlations, regressions of more. Location studies to help people, organizations to look the best locations for their next investment, urban environmental studies, and many more. So GIS is kind of quite broad software, a software that will allow you to do many things. And once you start using it, you will see that some workflows are useful for specific use cases, but some of them are also useful for other stuff. So once you learn the tools, you will see that this might be helpful for your own workflows, and then you can start working with it. And finally, before we move to the practical session, like a white GIS. So there are three main concepts that make GIS quite useful. And the first one is that this is quite powerful. So yeah, you can perform complex spatial analysis. And I'm sure that even if you are a GIS expert, you won't be using all the tools available in the software. So there are many stuff for different type of workflows, environment, urban planning, and more. So, and you can go from the basics to pretty complex spatial analysis. Secondly, it's free, so it's open source and it's free, so you can get the latest version without paying for it. You can always contribute by donations or other stuff, but it's for free and it's well maintained and it's like up to date with the latest technologies. And third, it's quite versatile because since this is an open source software, there is like a community of developers that they are producing new plugins and new applications that you can always find and use it. So even if there is like a tool that you think it's useful for you, and if it's not there, you can even develop it and make it public for the people. So I will start with the practical um, part of this session. So let me stop sharing my screen and I will move to the project. So I will. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes, we see the whole screen and the
Okay,
download.
so the first thing, so we will start by letting you know how you can install QGIS. So the first thing that you need to do is to go to qgis.org and then download. We will send you an email with all these links after, so you can get access to it. But once you are here, you will see that since I'm using Mac OS, it shows me these versions for Mac OS. And once you are here, I will recommend you to download always the long-term version that you just need to do like a click here and then you will download a package that then after you can install on your computer. And you have these two options. And also for Windows, it's the same. You will get the long-term version and newer versions, latest version and the long-term version. So I will always recommend you to install the long-term version, which in this case is the 3.4 version. And for Mac, this is the one. So once you install that, you will get a project that should look similar to this one, where you might have like a map in the middle without like anything, like an empty map. And now I will show you which are the essential menus that you need to have on when you're starting your QGIS journey. So once you open this, you will see that here to the top, there are like the tools. Here you will see that there is like the browser that will allow you to get access to data. Here you will see the layers, and here you will see other buttons which are useful to add a layer, a raster, and others. So the way how you can manage this is that if you do right click here, my recommendation is that for all the toolbars, keep them on unless you see that there is something that you're not using anymore. So my recommendation will be to keep all of this on. So you will see all these tools here. And if you see something that you're not using, you can just turn this off. You will see that this will disappear. And if in your workflows you are not using it, you can keep this just like off. But when starting, I will keep all of them uh, on for toolbars. And under panels, the key panels that you need to have open is the browser panel, the layers panel, and the processing toolbox panel. So these three this is the browser panel, which will allow you to get access to geospatial dataset, to vector, to base maps, to servers like this one or this one, and even to your own computer. So you can go to desktop and then you can browse your information. So this is the browser panel that will allow you to get access to your own information. The layers panel is the one where you bring information to your map. It will appear here. So you can visualize that. For example, I have here a group where I have a few layers that I will show you after. So all the layers that you bring on your map will appear here. And here you will see the toolbars. And the other relevant is this one, the processing toolbox panel, that if I turn this off, you will see that it will disappear. But this is the one that will appear here. And this is the one that will allow you to get access to tools. For example, if at some point you want to run a buffer, you will see that this is here. All the tools can also be accessed from here. For example, here you can look for the same tool, the buffer, but once you have more experience, I think it will be easier to get them from here. But in general, I'm always using this one to find like the tools, like a buffer. If you put like a, let's say, point, you will see all the tools that you will use point as an input. So this is my recommendation. Keep this one on, some of the tools on, the browser and the layers panel on. So this will be the essential setup for the interface. So once you are here, one important thing is that when you're starting a project, you always need to set a base map, right? So this is, I would say, the starting point for any project. And in QGIS, there are two main ways of adding a base map where you can start your project. One is by using a plugin, and the second is by using these XYZ tiles that can be accessed from here. So I will start by showing you the first one, these XYZ tiles. And for this, we will share with you a document, which is this one. This will be shared in the following email, which is a XYZ base maps. So once you start a project, if you go here, you will see that if you do right click here, you can add a new connection. And this new connection is a connection to an XYZ tile. I think some of you, or there was a person that asked how you can add a Google Maps base map. So I'm answering this just now. So if you do right click here, you can add a new connection. And once you open this, it will show you that you can add a name and a URL. And to add a base map, if you go to the document that we will share with you, here you have a collection of different base maps from Google Maps, OpenStreetMaps, Bing Maps, Carto, Esri, and others. So let's say we want to add a Google satellite base map. And to do that, you need to copy this URL. And if I go to XYZ tiles, new connection, then you paste the URL. And then here I will put webinar Google Maps, webinar Google satellite. You press OK, and it will appear here. And once you do double click, you will see that this.
Juan, sorry to interrupt you, but we see the black screen. Now we see the map. Yeah, great.
Yeah, once you see this, you will see that this base map will appear on your computer. So that's for me the base or the first step that you need to do once you're working with QGIS. First, set a base map, or first set your interface so you can get access to the information. Secondly, the layers where you're working with your data. And third, the processing toolbox where you can access some of the tools. So once you have added your base map, you will see that here I have more base maps. So I have this webinar Google satellite, have, well, this is the same, Cartodark, Esri Terrain, Bing Maps, Carto, like Light, ArcGIS, which is another satellite, OpenStreetMaps. And I have added all of them by adding my base maps here. So as I was mentioning before, you just need to go to the document, or you can even find URLs on the internet. So you can like look for other base maps, but here you have a nice collection of different URLs that you can use for your own use. Just copy this, and then you go here to XYZ tiles, new connection, you paste the URL, and it will appear here. There is another way of adding base maps, which is by using a plugin called Quick Map Services, which is this one. And you can install this plugin under the Manage and Install Plugins window, where you can go here to Plugins, and you can look for this Quick Map Services. You go to All, Quick Map Services, and then you can install a plugin. My recommendation will be for you to start using these XYZ tiles, and then after, once you understand a bit more how you can install plugins and manage them, you can save this name for further use, which is called Quick Map Services, that will allow you to get more base maps. But initially, if you get this document, you can go there and then just copy and paste your base maps. So that will be the first part of it. After we have seen the installation and the essential menus, secondly, we have seen how you can set base maps. And third, I will show you how you can open and acquire layers. So if we go here to opening layers, remember that this exact same project will be shared with you. So you will get access to the same data sets. So there are two main ways of getting access to geospatial data. One is from files. That means files that you can download from the internet, and then you can store them in your computer, and then you can upload them to your QGIS project, or from servers, which means that if you access them from servers, they are stored in a server, and then you can get access to them through an API or an endpoint where you can extract this information and visualize that on your map. The main difference is that files, since they are stored in your computers, they are not up to date, or they have like a version which was downloaded in a specific time. And on the other hand, servers, you can get access to up-to-date data, since this data is maintained by a third party. Let's say a geospatial portal. I will show you one like from London, where we can access servers from the city of London. We can access this information and we can visualize that from their own servers. So that's the main difference. Sorry. So if we go to files, we will see that here I have a data set, which is Spain cities. I will fly to Spain, over Spain, and you will see that here I will have a data set with the Spain cities. And if you see here, you will see that this data set has information about the city name, the latitude, longitude, the country, and the population. Once you have a layer here, the first thing that you need to understand, and if we come back to what we have seen before, is that a vector layer can be a point, a line, or a polygon, right? In this case, we have a point, and this point has a feature that is this point, this one, a point. Here I have selected them. Here I have selected two. Here a couple of, a group of them, and it has a table. And the way to access the table is by doing click here. And I normally use this or click here so I can have my table here in this area, so it's easier to work with it. And if you press this one, you will bring to selection to the top. So here I have selected 2 points, and then you will see that I have selected Badajoz and Mérida, and this is the population that they have. To visualize this on your map, I will show you that So once you download the project that I have, that we will share with you, you will see that here we have the folder, here we have our project, and this is the project that you need to open in order to visualize what you see here. And here you will see that we have data. So in this case, we have a Spain cities shapefile that you can just drag and drop and it will appear on your map. So for most geospatial files, which are, you can just drag and drop them and they will appear on your map. Same with these local context heights I have here. It has appeared here, and if you do right click here, you can do this zoom to layer and you can visualize these polygons. But for most of them, you can just drag and drop. You just need to make sure that they have a geospatial extension. In this case, this is a raster file, this is a shape file, and this is also a shape file. And for shape files, you need to drag and drop this one, the one that has this extension. These others are not relevant. The only relevant to visualize this on your map will be this one. Same for the Spain cities. And this is a raster file, which is an image, basically. In this case, this one has information about building heights in Liverpool. It's a file that you can just drag and drop and visualize that. If you want to interact with the data, that's like another workflow, but to bring or to open your layers, normally you will need to drag and drop them on your map. So that's how you can get information from files. But obviously, to get a file, you need to download this um, from a web page or others. So in this case, I will show you a quick overview about how you can get information from open portals. So I have here this London data store, where if you put this London data store, you can get access to this. And once you are here, you will see that there is like a list of different data sets. And some of the portals are similar. So I would say, obviously, they are not the same, but you can get access to them. And the structure of like a filter information on the topics is kind of similar. So once you get access to this one, that can be for London or for other city, let's say we want to work with planning or with the local plan, which is the kind of the information about the zoning in different boroughs of London. So this is planning local data. If we get access to this, you will see that this one is a geo package, which is similar to a shapefile, but it only includes one file. You can download this. This has been downloaded. And then if you go to the to my downloads, sorry, you will see that this layer will appear here, local planning data. You can just drag and drop. And this layer has many sublayers. Since GeoPackages can include more than one layer, it can include some of them or a lot. Here we have a list of different layers, but I will add, let's say, the city flood risk area and the monuments, view and settings and protected squares. I have selected them, you can add them, and you will see that they will appear on your map. Right click here, zoom to layer, and you will see that all these layers will appear here on your map. So this information is from Candem, I think. The city of London. So if you go here, you will see that this information will appear here on your map. And that's how you can get information from open portals. You can just download that, store this in a specific folder, and then you can just drag and drop them on your map. There is another way to access the same information. So if you are here, if you go down, you will see that here it shows like an API. So that's another way to access data from, in this case, from servers. So before we got data from files where we have download information, we have stored this in our computer, then we drag and drop this file on our map. But you can also get access from servers. In this case, this is an API. Let's say if we look information from Candem, if we open this, you will see that it will take you to the server which is hosting all this information. In this case, it's a feature server, an ArcGIS REST server. So similar to what we did with the XYZ tiles where we got a URL, the way to add information from servers, it's kind of similar, where you need to copy this URL. If they finish with this feature server, it's likely that they include this geospatial information. And then we come back to our QGIS. We go here to servers. I have added a subfolder so I can organize my information. I can go here to ArcGIS REST servers, which if you read this, it's the same. So these servers are storing geospatial information, and the most common one for vector layers is ArcGIS REST servers, where you go here, new connection, you just paste the URL. I will put this webinar test number 1. You can add any name. And if you go down, you will see that I've got this. And this will allow you to get access to information from Candem and to many layers at once. So instead of downloading one layer and then downloading another, you can get access to a server. And here you will see that we've got many information, in this case from the Royal Borough of Camden in London. Local green spaces, local plan canal, local plan central London area. And the nice thing here is that you can get information, and the typical workflow looks like this. You get your information, you go to the attribute table, and you can see what is included here, and then you can understand what the data has. So there are site allocations and more. So ancient monument. So you can go to this one and go to the attributes table, and then you can see that is the ancient monument listed in this Camden Borough. This is the designation. So there is like always this workflow where you get data, you see the table, you see what is there, and then you can really understand the data set. And as I was mentioning before, this data is coming from a server, so all this information is supposed to be up to date, and you don't need to upload this. And the other nice thing when working with servers is that you can get access to information from, in this case, from Candem to more than, I don't know, 20 layers at once, which is different from downloading them one by one. So that's how you can get access to data from servers. And finally, let's see how you can visualize your data. So now I will fly over Brazil. So I will show you briefly how you can style your data, these 3 ways of styling your data. And remember that all the information that you will see here will be available for you in the folder that we will be sharing with you after. So here you will have your project, and there will be 2 folders with data, and all this information is available here. In this case, we have a GeoPackage. Some of them will be shapefiles and other formats, but all this information will be here. So I will start with single symbol, which is the most basic way of visualizing data. I will put this Cartodark base map. So this is a polygon layer. Remember that vector layers can be points, lines, or polygons. This is a vector layer. And to get access to the symbology menu, you will do double click to a layer. And if you go here to symbology, you will see that I have selected single symbol. And here for the fill, if you go here to simple fill, you can change both the color and the stroke color. In my case, I have set a white stroke color, and the fill color, it's like a green fill, but I have added some transparency. So it looks like this. Once you drag and drop a layer, let's say this indigenous, this is the exact same layer, you will see that it will get a random color fill. So what you need to do is to do double click here, symbology, simple fill, and here you can change both the fill color and the stroke color. And secondly, here we have like a points layer. with the population of cities um, in Brazil. And if you see here, I have added uh, the exact same layer, but I have added the size of each point based on the population. So I have weighted the size of each point based on the population that it has. So if I see the table here, the bigger the point, the more population this point has. For example, Sao Paulo has almost 19 million people. And if I select one, this is the one. Here we have Rio de Janeiro, Belo Horizonte, and others. So this is also part of the single symbol visualization where you can do double click here, single symbol. But for the size, I have said that I want to include this based on a specific field, which is the population. And then you can have this minimum and maximum size. But this is also part of the single symbol visualization. So the second one that I would like to show you is this categorized visualization. So here I have the road network of Brazil. And if I see the table, as always, we have 28,000 lines. They have information. I have acquired this from a geospatial portal in Brazil. It has all this information. But what you want to do with this layer is that I want to visualize this based on the state or the Unidad Federal, federal unit of the country. And I want to give it color based on the specific state for these lines. So each line has information based on who is the owner or where these lines are or the road network is based on the state for each. So to do that, I have used a categorized visualization. And again, I have made double click here. You go to symbology, you select here categorize. And here you need to select the field that you want to use to categorize your data set. So if I show you the table, you will see that this Unidad Federal, like a state, has unique values about each state in the country. So to do that, you will see the table. You will see that this Unidad Federal, this one, has a code for each state. So I'm using this specific field to give a style to this dataset. So double click, symbology, categorize, and here I have selected this Unidad Federal to visualize this information. And finally, I would like to show you how you can use this graduated visualization. Here I have information about the states in Brazil. I will see the table. Here we have IDs and the entity or the name. And here we have the population sum and the density for each state. And what I want to do is that I want to visualize this information based the color based on the density that each state has. So I have grouped these values under this one, two, these 5 categories, where the darker the color, the most dense the state is. So to do that, you can use the graduated visualization, which is only which is only available for numeric values, so values that have numbers. So to do that, you do double click, you go to symbology, graduated. Here you can select the value, which is the field. I have selected this density population divided by hectares. And here I have selected 5 classes. So basically what I'm doing is that I'm grouping all the values under quantiles under 5 groups based on this quantile distribution or mode, and it's grouping them depending on the density that this state have. So that's what we want to cover today. I know that it's like a lot of information and it's quite interesting to understand this, but just to summarize this, the key thing when you work with GIS is that you need to understand that you are working with data. You're not working with, as you work in Illustrator or sometimes in AutoCAD, you're working with data, and everything that you can visualize and analyze is based on the table that you have here. So in a way, you can use your information, your table, to visualize stuff or to analyze that or to perform other operations. But you need to understand that it's all about data. And just to summarize this or to recap, once you open QGIS, first you need to know how to add base maps, and also you need to know how you can get access to the interface or to the menus that are relevant for the typical use cases. So the first one is to get access to the browsers panel, the layers panel, and the processing toolbox. And for base maps, you can get access to them by clicking here, new connection, and we'll share with you this guide where you can just copy and paste URLs so you can start working with this. And also we will share with you this exact same project so you can start working with it. So we'll move to the final part of this session. So yeah, Anastasia, if you
Yeah, we'll
can
just tell
introduce
you a
this.
little bit more. Thank you so much, Juan. I think it was very insightful, indeed, a lot of information. But as you said, you all will get access to the recording and the project, so you can repeat it and start practicing. So as we promised, this kind of a glimpse in what you can do with QGIS, so you can start testing it out and see how you feel with the tool. But we already saw some questions also in the chat, and we know that some of you joined because you are curious about the course. So we will spend like a few minutes to tell you briefly about the methodology we built and what potentially you could be able to do with QGIS if you join the course or if you decide to do it later. So Juan, if you could share the screen. Yeah, and I will briefly tell you what to expect, also to answer some questions which already popped up in the chat. And then we will move to Q&A. And as I said, we will stay 10 maximum 15 minutes longer because we want to answer as many questions as possible about the course, about the tool, about JS in general. Thank you so much for those who already started posting in the Q&A box. Please upvote the questions if you find them relevant. We will start with a few questions which you submitted while you registered, and then we will move to the Q&A box. So about the course, we actually start already next week. We have a few spots left, and we also offer you a special offer for joining us today. So the course will be 6 weeks long. It will be full of live sessions and kind of similar to what we experienced today, but obviously much more in depth with a lot of feedback from Juan, moments for you to ask clarifications. For some of you also live Q&A, and for some of those who join on premium, also one-on-one sessions where you can bring your own data sets and problems. We have 6 weeks together, 6 weeks, and each week related to one of the modules. We start with the foundation where we go much more in depth of what we saw today, answer all your questions, figure out the challenges, technical problems, whether it works on your computer, how you can find and source the data. Then we go to the layer and management and attributes, move to the advanced QGIS part where we see which geospatial analysis and processing tools you could use, which are specifically related to urban practitioners, as we say, because we know that there are many I don't know, YouTube videos and tutorials using JS in general, but what we do, we tailor it specifically for urbanists. That's because that's what All Things Urban is about. Then we move to advanced QGIS part, which is spatial data management and exporting, and final is creating a real world case study. So we not just use you how to use the tool, we actually, based on our experience and Juan's experience, teach you how to approach your urban challenge, how to think what kind of data you actually need to find, where to find it, and how to solve your certain challenge, be it in research, in your consulting, in your urban design practice. So it's a bit of a mix of learning the tool and also the way how you should think spatial. In the end, you will have more than 15 hours of live sessions, which are all recorded. So if you don't, I don't know, if the schedule doesn't work for you or you are busy or sick, you can always catch up. We publish them within a few hours, usually, maximum within one day. And I see a question from in the chat, how many hours each day during the 6 month? So as we said, like each live session is up to 2 hours. There is 1 hour Q&A, and then we ask you to allocate time to practice because we give you a lot of tools.
This is 6 weeks, not 6 months.
Yeah, it's not 6 months, it's 6 weeks. So we start next week and then we have live sessions until the beginning of October. So technically, if you practice enough and you submit everything on time, you can get the certificate already in October. We also had questions in the chat about the data sets, and people are asking about the access and asked you, Juan, to share the links. As we promised, we will share with you the list of links we just showed you. So if you link
Basemaps.
the base maps, yeah. But if you need access to the data sets, we have been, like Juan and ourselves, we have been collecting the data sets for many years. We have more than 150 global, like for many regions. And those of you who join Advanced and Premium also get access to this library. And we usually also, on request of students, create a collaborative doc where you can all throw your data sets and create like a beautiful library together. And in the end, you will learn more than 50 tools. Like Juan said, QGIS is very versatile. There are many, many tools, but we try to teach you only those who are relevant for the urban practice specifically. So Juan, if we move to the next slide. Big thing which we also add to the course and which usually our graduates really love and we find it helpful is this QGIS guide which we prepared. We strongly believe there is no kind of similar guide available online. We prepared specifically for the course. It's a lot of work and it's basically a step-by-step like a study material for you to practice, to learn and see how you can use it, to practice on your own, to get back if you have any questions. It's extremely, as you see, yeah, very visual, very interactive, and can answer a lot of questions. And we were receiving some feedback from students of the previous cohorts, and people especially love this component of this guide and following the program of the course, as well as the community component, which is also a big part of the
Yeah.
course because we have a group chat. Juan, if you
Yeah,
want to
a quick note. Yeah, just like a quick note about it is that I think we have mentioned this before, but there are like a lot of like YouTube tutorials which are great, but we haven't seen much content about GIS or in this case QGIS for urban practitioners. So in this case, this guide is like the work of like from the last like 10 years working with QGIS, where I think I have identified most of the most useful tools for you. So here you will see that a summary of all the tools that are relevant for your use cases or most of the tools. But the good thing is that when we share this with you in the course, the exact same data sets used to create this guide are the ones that we share with you. So you can see your QGIS project and at the same time you can see the guide, and basically what you see on each one is the exact same material. So I think this is great not only for the in a visual perspective but also for the learning process.
If we can move to the next slide on. We already did a couple of cohorts and most of the students are really happy with what they learned without having any experience. And we wanted to show you a few examples, not to show only what students did, but also we thought it might be interesting for you to see what could be done and actually how GIS could be used in your work. So we prepared a few examples. Is one that Sarah did exploring the accessibility of green spaces in Beirut, which you can see on the left. On the right side, you see what Elsa Jacob did in London. It's an amazing project she did on exploring the urban heat island effects in the city of London. And another example we have is from Eleni from The Hague, when she explored the shaded playground areas and the topic of child-friendly cities. And Tim from Montevideo explored the transport routes and transport accessibility of the areas of the city. So you can see that you could use GIS and QGIS for so many different topics of your research or your practice, and also no matter which part of the world you are in. So in terms of, I see some questions already in the chat. We will answer them in a bit. So super briefly about the schedule, you can also find it on the website, and we will send you the link afterwards and share it in the chat. But basically, yeah, there will be live sessions every Saturday because many of you like working full time, so we do it on the weekend day. But again, if it's not convenient for you, you will have recordings. Q&A sessions are happening on Wednesday, so we try to cover as many time zones as possible because, as Juan said, the course is very international. We have people like you joining from more than 30 countries, so we try to do it around the middle of the day European, so the rest of the world can also join. You can find the schedule on the website. Juan, let's move to the next one. So yeah, as we promised, we prepared this offer for you. All the discounts expired, but then we discussed today that maybe since we have this webinar and you all might be interested, we give you this code, which is available until Friday, so you can get 10% off. I saw a question of a question about students. Yes, we try to support you as much as we can. We offer 30% for students if you enrolled. You have a link on the website that if you scroll until the prices and a little bit below, you will see the student form. Please complete it and our team will send you the code and like personalized code, and then you can use it. Everyone else, please use this 10%. It's like, yeah, extra offer we give you. This is an overview of the prices. Again, you can find it on the website, but the key difference is we have self-study, we have advanced and premium. Also, a quick note that you can pay it all in installments. So if this sounds a lot, you can split it in months and you can join like pages up to 50, 60 euros per month, which is accessible for the majority of students who joined. And then you will save from each of the plans with your code and you can see the pricing here. The difference is with self-study, you just join the live sessions like this one, but you don't have access to the chat and you don't have access to produce the final project with the feedback from Juan. So you just get the access to the guide for 4 months and the live sessions and you study on your own. So you don't have kind of time for in-depth questions and personalized support. You still have time for clarification about what was shown, but no in-depth questions. If you want a bit more personalized feedback from us, then you go for advanced and premium. With advanced, you have 8-month access. You join the Q&A sessions or you submit the questions in advance and we answer. You have the chat to share your questions and we answer in between the sessions as well. We do it on a very visual learning platform where you can attach your screenshot, a video, and we do reply very quickly with support. And you get the final project for your portfolio, which you will have 1 month to complete after the course. And then Juan will give you personalized written feedback which will help you use it in the practice. And those of you who have specific questions, maybe you also want to use, I don't know, speak with Juan about his experience, get feedback on your work, on your data set, bring something from your project, you can go for premium and then you will have a one-on-one session with Juan, a few one-on-one sessions during the course, which is like a full, you can get full access to him and also get the private chat for all the questions you have. And we also give you a certificate of advanced achievement. So you can find it all on the website. We will also be sending you the link. And now we are moving to the Q&A part. That's the time for you to ask all the questions you might have about the course, about QGIS and GIS. I suggest that maybe we start with the questions which were submitted during the registration. And as I said, we will stay for 10-15 minutes longer, not more. So I'm sending you, again, before we continue, I'm sending the link to the course. This is and the code is webinar for 10% off. And also, if you want to be in touch with us, I will share our LinkedIn's. You can always send us a private message if you have any questions. And you can also reach out to community@allthingsurban.net. And then we will reply to you quickly. If you have any specific questions about your situation, we all have different careers, so we're happy to help. So moving to Q&A, let's start with the top questions which were submitted during the registration. First of all, Juan, what are the best data sources for urban planning? Open source, country specific, like India, affordable. We also had a question in the Q&A related to this from Sayeda, for example. What are the platforms to collect data for global South countries?
So I think that's a key component of GIS, which is data. And there are like many things where you can acquire data. I will say the best option is always go to open portals, like from the borough, the city level, and others, because it's more reliable. But if you don't have access to this, you can always go to OpenStreetMaps, which is a kind of Wikipedia of open data. in our course, we will teach you how you can get access to this, but if not, you can use some plugins. One of them is called OSM Info and Quick Map Services, a Quick OSM, sorry, where you can download information from OSM. So it's, as I said, it's like a kind of Wikipedia of maps. So there's like a lot of open information, and some portals, even Waze or Google Maps, they even get information from it to upload or to update their maps. And the third way of accessing data is if you create your own datasets. You can create your own shapefiles, your own polygons point, attach data to this. And that's are the three main ways of accessing data, I would say.
Thank you so much, Juan. There is also a question from Saikat. Please suggest some sources for mobility data, traffic data, and transport data. But I suppose the answer is similar.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. So there are, yeah, I think you will need to look for open portals, and you will need to get the skills to get access to this. So today show you two. Okay, you can go to the file, you can download that, but if you get access to our URL or API, you can also get access to this. So with the experience and also understanding a bit more which are the typical formats, I'm sure that you will get the right data.
Okay, thank you, Juan. I suggest we go through the next questions more like in a blitz format to make sure we answer as many as possible. Quick summary of the question we got for the registration again. Which data sets or libraries are essential for analyzing inequalities, for example, income, housing, transport, and how QGIS can help us study urban density, green infrastructure, build up areas, and apply it to challenges like traffic congestion, flood management. So we have a lot of different urbanists in the room.
Yeah.
So what would
So
be
I think just to
your answer?
in addition to what I have said just now, especially for urban inequalities, population, obviously the census data is the one that you need to get access to. Census data, I will say, yeah, everywhere. Obviously, most of the countries they have census data. It's kind of up to date from the last 4 years or even more recent, depending on the country. But sometimes census data comes in as a two formats, or one is like a CSV, which is an Excel sheet that you need to link to a geospatial polygon or format. And we also cover that in our course, but basically what you need to do or understand how to work with this is how you can do a join or a spatial join between your table and the polygons. The polygons could be like at the block level, region level, and others, but that's the typical use case for census data and the typical problem that you might face when working with it. And in terms of other data sets, well, there are like a many open um, remote sensing portals like Copernicus, um, others. This one is from the European Union, where they will provide, even the NASA and others, where they provide climate data and others that you can get access from the internet and get, and also you can visualize this in QGIS. There are even plugins where you can access data from these open portals, so it's kind of a bit more direct between the source and your map.
Thank you, Juan. The next question is, how does QGIS work with other platforms like Google Maps, ArcGIS, Digital Twins, and other tools which urbanists might
Yeah.
use in and experience in
So
yeah.
yeah, so I think the main thing here is to understand that QGIS is like a GIS platform. It's a GIS software. So normally this data can be visualized and you can work with the same data in other GIS platform. For example, ArcGIS. They both have similar capabilities, and with both of them you can work with the same kind of data sets, shapefiles from QGIS to ArcGIS or the other way around. On the other hand, Google Maps, Google Earth is kind of in between. You can visualize like a KM set, but this same KM set, you can also visualize this in QGIS. So it's more to visualize data, I would say. You can also draw polygons, but not in a way as a GIS software. And on the other hand, you may have information that you work with it in AutoCAD or Vectorworks. Sometimes if you have set a location for your plans, let's say in Vectorworks, I'm sure that a lot of people in the UK or in Europe in general, Germany, you're using auto Vectorworks instead of AutoCAD. If you have this geolocated, you can export that as a DXF or even as a shapefile if you're using Vectorworks Landmark. If you're familiar to it, you will understand what I'm saying. And you can work between CAD and GIS. So it's kind of like you can do that. If not, you will need to geolocate that. It's a bit more complex. But if you're working with a location, you might bring this information from CAD to GIS or QGIS in this case.
Thank you, Juan. We had one quick question actually from Henry during this session. Can QGIS create 3D density maps? There was someone else also who joined similar one.
Yeah, you can create 3D maps. Obviously, depends on the data set. Density maps could be one, but you can map collisions and you can visualize that in 3D. So there are like a plugins to visualize that in 3D, and you can do that. And QGIS has a kind of built-in 3D visualization that you can also use. But for things which are more like a cool, where you can see this in 3D or you can move around or zoom in and out, there is a plugin that we also cover in our course.
Thank you, Juan. Tatiana is asking, how reliable are the data sets that we source from the internet? How do we check for that reliability? Is there a fact-checking tool embedded in the GIS mapping workflow that updates our data?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And if you get data from open portals, that is quite reliable, and it's like an open portal, obviously from a municipality, a ministry, or other. And normally, when you download this information, you will see that there is like a metadata section where all this information is attached to a data set. When it was created, who maintained that, who created that, and other things. So there, if you do but if you do double click to a layer, you can also get access to this metadata. It even shows you the proper projection and other information. So since and that's something interesting because QGIS is like a system, and since this is a system where you're working with data, you need to have these protocols to store metadata, to visualize that, to share this information. So QGIS, in those terms, it allows you to store metadata and see if it's something reliable or not.
Thank you, Juan. Then Patrick is asking, is QGIS better than other JS packages such as Map Info, like price, training, support, community, etc.?
Yeah, I think there are two main players for desktop like a GIS. One will be QGIS and the other is ArcGIS. Some of them are moving online, but the most powerful GIS platform are these two, I will say. And the main difference is that QGIS is open source, is like for free, and it's great, quite powerful. And ArcGIS, it has licenses and might be better for enterprise use. If you want to deal with like a lot of data sets and you want to centralize that and you work in like a huge or big organization, normally you can use ArcGIS. But for most of the cases, I will say that QGIS is fine. There is like another actors which are like a cloud native GIS platform, which are mainly for visualization. And there you can put Felt, which is in for the startup that I work in the past. There are others like Atlas in Norway, more like it's kind of a smaller like a platform, or it's more for visualization. But yeah, there are like other actors more for visualization and also web mapping, which is different from this heavy geospatial processing.
Thank you, Juan. Giuseppe is asking, is there a way to showcase on maps some social visual data? For example, I'm an urban anthropologist, so how can I upload my personal sample?
Yeah, I think as long as you have something to geolocate your dataset, you can visualize that. If it has addresses or coordinates, GIS is the right place. If not, if it doesn't have a geographic relationship, maybe it's not the right place to visualize that. But if you're mapping stuff and you have this location, like where the people or where this input comes from, you can visualize that. But you need to make sure that you have the location. It can be a borough where you're mapping this, or look on an address or a coordinate.
Thank you, Juan. Let me see what other popular questions we have. Can you import the land registry from a country into QGIS? Natalia is asking.
Yeah, for sure. You can, as long as you have the data, obviously. And one thing that I'm sure that some of you are familiar to Illustrator or even AutoCAD. If you work with a huge data set in AutoCAD, possibly it would crash. Same with Illustrator, because they are not thought to work or deal with data. They're more for like a visualize, or CAD has other good things. But in QGIS, you can visualize, let's say, a 1 GB data set with parcel from an entire country. It obviously it will take some time to load, but it's done, or it's the main purpose of this software is to visualize data, heavy data, and work with data, which is different from other softwares.
Thank you, Juan. I will answer quickly the question of Amanda, who is asking, is it possible to read the students' works that you are showing? I would love to read more about them. So we shared some of the works on our social media on LinkedIn, and you can see the post from some couple of weeks ago with these works, and also the students were tagged there. We also had a newsletter with this example shown, and we will send you also this in the follow-up email, perhaps, so you can see more examples of what could be done. And Juan, the question for you, Jiva is asking, after the course, shall we got any chance to work on the real-world problems? So it's a pretty global thing.
Yeah, of course, that's all about. So what I do, and yeah, what I have done from the last 10 years is like a work with real problems. I remember a project that I work at, like we were trying to give like at the Liverpool city a new policy for like a where they can densify the city and bring tall buildings, since they lost the World Heritage status. So it was all about data. You need to gather data, understand where the tall buildings are, where the zoning designations are, and how you can analyze that and give outputs to the local authority in order to answer these questions. So it's all about like answering questions and practical work. And that's the main focus of this course as well.
Yeah. Thank you. I think like most of the other questions we have left are about sourcing the data, which I think we answered already. And I also see a question from someone who says that you don't have time to apply for the course right now because you're busy. So on the website, you can also find the wait list for the next editions. And so please put your email there, so we keep you posted. As we mentioned briefly before, we try to keep the groups as like limited as possible because we want to give you attention and like personalized feedback. So that's why we have limited seats, and that's why we suggest you to enroll as soon as possible, because for some of the plans we have, for example, for premium, we have 1 seat left. So if you want to join, please hurry. Your code is valid until Friday. And we have a question from Harris asking, can we bring our own project for the final project of the course?
Yeah. In fact, this is the purpose of it. So we will teach you the basics, the essential tools, and more advanced tools. And by the end of the course, I will show you a methodology that goes from data acquisition to processing to visualization and final output. And then you will need to use the same methodology to work on your own project. And yeah, it's your own project, your own data. I will support you through this, like how you can acquire data, which are the right data sets based on your questions. And that's why the chat is so useful, because yeah, we use that and it's pretty active, and I really take time to answer that. So that's why we keep this like a small group, so it's more kind of familiar, or we can use the right time to do the stuff.
Thank you so much. Also, we see all these comments. Thank you so much for joining us today and for your feedback. We really put a lot of work into making it happen, and we wanted to give you kind of the taste of QGIS and how powerful it is and how it's helpful for urbanists to make more cool and data-informed decisions, beautiful maps, also which helps us, I don't know, get new clients, new jobs, persuade people that our work is powerful. So after the webinar is finished, you will get a follow-up email, and tomorrow we'll send you the recording and the project. You will also be redirected to the feedback poll. We're always happy to hear your feedback. Please share it there. You can stay in touch with us on LinkedIn. I'm sending the links once again. And also, you will also get the link to the course. This is, once again, if you have any questions, you can email at community@allthingsurban.net or to us personally, and we will be happy to help answer, clarify your doubts, questions, see if the certain plan is the right fit, or if the course is the right fit for you even, because we want to be as helpful and relevant as possible. So thank you all, and thank you for all the questions and active participation. Juan, do you have anything?
Yeah, thank you very much. It was like a pleasure, and I hope to, yeah, let's connect on LinkedIn. If you can join the course, that will be great. But yeah, we will be, and also I'm always creating content for us, like urban practitioners. So let's keep in touch for sure.
Yeah, and you can, yeah, I shared some links in the chat which you can access. And yeah, we look forward to staying in touch and maybe seeing some of you in the course or the next sessions. Thank you all for being part
Thank
of
you very
it.
much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.